They say one person's trash is another's treasure, but what if trash becomes pure garden poetry? Welcome to Golden Seniors Living, where slow beauty meets creative heart. I'm about to show you 15 stunning garden edging designs made from simple trash bags that will completely transform how you see your garden borders. From flowing midnight rivers to heritage brick patterns, sculptural waves to Zen garden borders, these aren't just edges, they're expressions of your creative soul. And if you love discovering beauty in unexpected places, gently tap that subscribe button and join our family of mindful creators. Let's step into the garden together. The first design I call the Midnight River, because when you see it flowing along your flower beds, it reminds you of moonlight dancing on dark water. There's something mysteriously elegant about how black edging makes every color in your garden sing a little louder, bloom a little prouder. Watch how this deep dark line creates such dramatic contrast. The purple petunias seem more vibrant, the yellow marigolds more cheerful, the white alyssum more pure. It's as if the darkness gives permission for everything else to shine brighter. This isn't just garden edging, this is garden theater, where every flower becomes the star of its own beautiful story. Look at how the black contractor bags, when filled with soil and shaped with patience, create this organic flowing line. The plastic develops this beautiful matte finish when kissed by weather, not shiny or artificial, but substantial like river stones tumbled smooth by time. Notice the gentle curves, how they mirror the natural flow of water finding its path through landscape. There's no forcing here, no rigid straight lines demanding attention. Fill your bags with good garden soil, the kind that holds moisture but drains well. Tie them gently, allowing for that natural give and take that makes them nestle comfortably into the landscape. Let them find their own natural curve along your beds. Some will be rounder, some more elongated, each carrying its own personality just like the flowers they'll cradle. As you shape each section, step back often. Trust your eye, trust your instincts. The beauty develops over time, as weather softens the edges and plants begin to cascade naturally over the borders. The second technique whispers of old English gardens and cottage pathways. By shaping our bags into gentle rectangles and arranging them like weathered bricks, we create something that feels like it's been there for generations, patient, sturdy, honest. There's something deeply comforting about this pattern. Something that speaks to our longing for permanence in an ever-changing world. Look how these soft rectangular shapes create structure without severity, order without rigidity. They hold the garden beds with gentle authority, like experienced hands guiding young plants toward their fullest potential. Notice how the slightly uneven heights create natural shadow play throughout the day. By morning, each brick catches light differently, some glowing softly, others resting in gentle shadow. By evening, the shadows pool between them like tiny secret gardens of their own. The imperfection isn't a flaw, it's the signature of something made by human hands, with human heart. Shape your bags into rough rectangles. Don't measure, just feel. Let your hands guide you toward proportions that feel right for your space, your plants, your vision. Some a little taller for dramatic contrast, some wider for substantial presence. Think of them as building blocks for beauty, each one contributing to the overall harmony while maintaining its individual character. Nestle them together like old friends finding comfortable positions. The soil will settle them naturally into place, and time will make them look like they've always belonged there. There's something deeply satisfying about creating structure that doesn't feel forced. The third design is for the artist in all of us. The sculptural wave. Here we're creating flowing sculpture that happens to hold soil, where function meets pure creative joy. This is garden edging as self-expression, where every curve tells a story about the person who shaped it. Look at how these flowing lines create movement and rhythm in the garden space, like frozen music, like captured dance, like poetry written in soil and shadow. This isn't about following someone else's design. This is about discovering what your creative spirit wants to say through the language of landscape. Watch how the bags can be shaped into gentle S-curves, rising and falling like frozen music. Some sections swell fuller, creating dramatic focal points that draw the eye and anchor the composition. Others taper thin, creating breathing space, visual rest, moments of quiet between the crescendos. It's like drawing with earth and plastic, creating a line that leads the eye on a gentle dance through your garden space. The three-dimensional quality creates entirely new possibilities. Unlike flat edging that simply divides space, these sculptural borders add depth, drama, and dynamic interest to the garden. They cast complex shadows that change throughout the day, creating an ever-shifting display of light and form. Let your inner artist guide you here. Fill some bags fuller for the waves, creating those dramatic swells that catch the light. Fill others lighter for the valleys, those gentle depressions that provide contrast. Trust your eye, step back often, adjust gently. This is meditation in motion, therapy disguised as gardening. Creating something beautiful from something discarded feels like a small act of rebellion against a throwaway world. The fourth design draws inspiration from Japanese Zen gardens, creating perfect circles of varying sizes like meditation stones arranged by a peaceful stream. This design speaks to the soul that craves both order and natural beauty, structure with serenity. There's something profoundly calming about circular forms in the garden. Unlike angular shapes that create tension and movement, circles invite contemplation, rest, a sense of completeness. Watch how the eye moves differently when encountering these gentle rounds, how the mind settles into a more peaceful rhythm. Fill your bags to create firm round shapes, each one a perfect sphere of possibility. The key is achieving that satisfying roundness that feels solid yet organic. Some circles large enough to anchor a corner planting, others small enough to create delicate rhythm along a pathway edge. The size variation creates visual music, like different sized singing bowls harmonizing in a meditation garden. Arrange them in organic clusters, some touching like old friends sharing secrets, others with breathing space between like introverts, finding their comfortable distance. The repetition creates rhythm while the variation in size adds visual interest. Notice how plants respond differently to circular borders, some seeming to embrace the curves, others creating beautiful contrast with their linear leaves. This design transforms any garden space into a place of contemplation. Even the busiest flower bed gains a sense of Zen tranquility when edged with these peaceful forms. The circles become focal points for meditation, places where the eye can rest and the mind can find stillness among the garden's activity. The fifth technique creates gentle scalloped edges that dance along your flower beds, like the hem of a vintage garden dress. This design whispers of grandmother's gardens and afternoon tea parties among the flowers, bringing feminine grace to any outdoor space. There's something irresistibly charming about scalloped edges, something that speaks to our love of gentle curves and playful patterns. Look how the repetitive arcs create visual rhythm while maintaining organic softness. It's structured enough to feel intentional, yet flowing enough to feel natural. Shape each bag into soft, rounded humps, like gentle hills viewed from above, or like the soft curves of ocean waves frozen in time. The key is maintaining consistent rhythm while allowing for natural variation. Some scallops might be fuller, others more petite, creating the delightful imperfection that makes handmade beauty so appealing. Connect them in a continuous flowing line, each scallop flowing seamlessly into the next like a textile pattern brought to life in the garden. The scallop pattern adds playful femininity to any garden space, creating gentle curves that invite trailing plants to cascade gracefully over the edges. Watch how different plants interact with this edge style. Sprawling herbs like thyme and oregano seem to understand the invitation, spilling gracefully over each rounded section. Upright flowers create beautiful silhouettes against the undulating backdrop. Even vegetables gain romantic charm when framed by these gentle curves. This design works beautifully in cottage gardens, herb gardens, or anywhere you want to create that sense of timeless, unhurried beauty. It's the garden equivalent of lace curtains and handwritten letters, bringing old-world charm to modern landscapes. For those who love clean lines and contemporary design, the sixth technique creates bold geometric patterns, using triangular and diamond shapes. This design proves that even humble materials can create gallery-worthy garden art. There's something powerfully striking about introducing geometric precision into the organic chaos of a garden. The sharp angles create dramatic tension against soft plant forms, like modern sculpture placed thoughtfully in a natural setting. This isn't about imposing artificial order. It's about creating conversation between structure and wildness. Shape your bags into sharp triangular forms, working to achieve clean edges and definite points. The precision becomes part of the beauty, each triangle a small architectural element, contributing to the larger composition. Some triangles can stand tall and proud, others can be flattened for more subtle geometric rhythm. Arrange them in repeating patterns that create visual rhythm and modern sophistication. Try alternating large and small triangles, or creating diamond patterns by placing triangular points together. The geometric repetition creates a sense of intentional design, while the natural variations in size and angle prevent sterility. The stark geometric lines provide stunning contrast against soft organic plant forms. Imagine billowing ornamental grasses cascading over sharp triangular edges, or rounded hostas nestled against precise diamond patterns. The contrast enhances both elements, making the plants seem more organic and the geometry more striking. This design appeals to the contemporary aesthetic, while maintaining the practical benefits of soil-filled edging. It's perfect for modern homes, minimalist gardens, or anywhere you want to make a bold architectural statement with your landscape design. The seventh design mimics nature's own handiwork, creating edges that look like ancient boulders weathered by time and elements. This technique brings the peaceful feeling of mountain meadows and woodland clearings right into your cultivated garden space. There's something deeply satisfying about working with forms that could have been shaped by glaciers, wind, and centuries of weather. These aren't perfect spheres or geometric shapes. They're the irregular, character-rich forms that nature creates when given enough time and patience. Fill your bags to create irregular, rounded shapes of varying sizes, like stones that have tumbled down mountain slopes and settled into their final resting places. Some should be large enough to anchor corner plantings, others small enough to create subtle rhythm along pathways. The key is embracing irregularity, letting each bag find its own unique character. Arrange them as nature would, some partially buried as if they've been settling into the earth for decades, others proud and prominent, like sentinel stones marking important garden moments. Think about how boulders naturally group in mountain landscapes, some clustering together for support, others standing alone as dramatic focal points. Weather will soften their edges over time, plants will grow around them, moss might even find its way onto their surfaces. Time will integrate them so completely into your landscape that visitors will swear they've always been there. This is garden design that partners with natural processes rather than fighting against them. The beauty of this design lies in its authenticity. Unlike artificial materials that always look artificial, these bags develop genuine character through exposure to weather and seasons, becoming more beautiful and more integrated with each passing year. The eighth technique creates the illusion of thick twisted rope lying gracefully along your garden beds. This design adds rustic charm, reminiscent of seaside gardens and weathered dock lines, bringing maritime poetry to landlocked gardens. There's something romantically nautical about rope in the garden, something that speaks of adventure and distant shores. The twisted texture creates visual interest that changes throughout the day as shadows move across the spiraled surface, revealing new patterns and depths with each hour. Shape long, narrow bags and twist them gently as you position them, like wrapping a giant cord around your garden beds. The twisting motion should feel natural, not forced, allowing the rope effect to emerge organically. Some sections can be twisted tighter for more dramatic texture, others looser for gentler visual flow. The twisted form creates interesting shadows and adds textural interest that static borders simply cannot achieve. Watch how morning light catches the spiral ridges differently than afternoon sun, how rain pools in the twisted valleys, how plants seem to understand the invitation to cascade over these organic curves. This design works beautifully with coastal plants, like lavender and rosemary, but it also brings unexpected charm to traditional flower gardens. The rope effect softens formal plantings, while adding character to casual cottage gardens. It's versatile enough to feel at home in many different garden styles. The maintenance is beautifully simple. As the bags weather and settle, they develop even more authentic rope-like character. The twisted pattern helps shed water naturally, while providing interesting microclimates for different plants along its length. The ninth design creates gentle terracing effects, perfect for sloped areas, or adding dimensional interest to flat spaces. This technique solves practical drainage issues, while creating stunning visual layers that add depth and drama to any garden space. Terracing is one of humanity's oldest gardening techniques, used for thousands of years to create growing space on challenging slopes. Our version brings that ancient wisdom into modern gardens, with contemporary materials and techniques. Stack bags at varying heights to create natural-looking terraces, like miniature mountainside farms, cascading down your garden slope. Each level provides a different planting opportunity, from ground-hugging herbs at the bottom to taller perennials at the top. The step design creates multiple microclimates within a single garden bed. The beauty lies in the layered visual effect. From one angle, you see the step profile creating architectural interest. From another angle, the terraces disappear into flowing planted areas, where each level blends seamlessly into the next. It's engineering disguised as natural beauty. Think about how water will flow through your terraced system. Each level can capture and hold moisture, while allowing excess to flow gently to the next level. This creates ideal growing conditions for different plants, while preventing erosion and water waste. The planting possibilities are endless. Trailing plants can cascade from upper levels to lower ones, creating living waterfalls of foliage and flowers. Each terrace can host different plant communities, from Mediterranean herbs that love drainage at the top, to moisture-loving ferns that appreciate the collected water at the bottom. The 10th technique creates the beautiful illusion of a thick braided rope edging your garden beds. This design adds sophisticated texture that elevates the entire garden aesthetic, bringing artisanal craftsmanship to landscape design. Braiding represents one of humanity's most ancient arts, a technique that transforms simple strands into complex beauty through patient interweaving. Our garden version brings that same sense of crafted elegance to outdoor spaces. Use 3 long thin bags twisted together in a braiding pattern, working slowly and methodically, like creating a giant friendship bracelet for your garden. The interwoven design creates complexity and visual interest, while maintaining the flowing organic feel that makes gardens so appealing. The braided texture catches light and shadow in fascinating ways. Each twist and turn creates new surfaces for light to play across, making the border appear to shimmer and move even when perfectly still. The depth created by the overlapping strands adds dimensional richness that flat borders simply cannot achieve. This design requires patience and attention to detail, making the process itself a form of moving meditation. As you work, the repetitive motion of braiding creates a rhythm that soothes the mind, while the garden takes shape around you. It's therapy disguised as landscaping. The sophisticated texture works beautifully with both formal and informal garden styles. In formal settings, it adds organic warmth to structured plantings. In cottage gardens, it provides elegant definition without overwhelming the natural abundance. The braided pattern seems to say that this garden was created with care, attention, and love. The 11th design creates crescent moon shapes that seem to dance along your garden edges, like moonbeams made solid. This whimsical design adds personality and charm to any outdoor space, bringing celestial poetry to earthbound gardens. There's something magical about crescents in the landscape, shapes that remind us of new moons and gentle smiles, of cycles and renewal, of the quiet beauty that emerges when day surrenders to night. These curved forms create visual rhythm that feels both playful and profound. Shape each bag into perfect crescents, working to achieve that satisfying arc that speaks of lunar cycles and natural rhythms. The curves should feel generous and welcoming, like gentle smiles greeting visitors as they move through your garden space. Some crescents can be fuller, suggesting waxing moons, others thinner like delicate slivers of silver light. Arrange them in flowing patterns that create rhythm and movement along your garden borders. Some crescents face up like smiles welcoming the sun, others down like gentle frowns, creating protective alcoves for shy plants. Still others can be positioned sideways, creating dynamic movement that leads the eye on an enchanting journey through your garden narrative. This design invites playful plant partnerships. Trailing varieties naturally follow the crescent curves, creating living extensions of the moon shapes. Upright flowers, planted within the crescents, create beautiful silhouettes against the curved backdrop, like trees against moonlit skies. The whimsical nature of this design makes it perfect for gardens meant to inspire wonder and delight. Children especially respond to the friendly, face-like quality of the crescents, while adults appreciate the sophisticated interplay of curves and the subtle reference to celestial rhythms. The 12th technique mimics the appearance of weathered logs lying naturally along garden edges. This design brings the peaceful feeling of forest floors and woodland pathways right into your cultivated garden space, creating that sense of wild tranquility that soothes the soul. There's something deeply comforting about logs in the landscape, something that speaks to our primal connection with forests and natural spaces. These forms suggest stability, endurance, the quiet wisdom of trees that have weathered many seasons and finally come to rest in your garden sanctuary. Create long cylindrical shapes of varying diameters, working to achieve that natural irregularity that makes real logs so appealing. Some logs should be thick and substantial, like old oak trunks that anchor the composition. Others can be slender and delicate, like birch branches that add grace notes to the woodland symphony. Arrange them as fallen logs might naturally settle after a gentle storm or the passage of time. Some parallel like old friends resting together, others at gentle angles creating organic randomness that speaks of forest floors and woodland pathways. Let them cross occasionally, creating natural intersections that become focal points for special plantings. This design works beautifully with woodland plants, like ferns, hostas and wild ginger, but it also brings unexpected charm to more formal flower gardens by softening their edges with natural authenticity. The log forms create perfect supports for trailing plants, while providing visual weight that grounds lighter, more plantings. The weathering process adds to the authentic character. As the bags settle and age, they develop the subtle irregularities and softened edges that make them virtually indistinguishable from real weathered wood, creating garden edges that feel like they've always been part of the natural landscape. The 13th design creates the illusion of a silk ribbon flowing gracefully through your garden landscape. This design adds elegance and movement, creating pathways for the eye to follow and spaces for the soul to rest, like frozen dance captured in garden form. Ribbons in the landscape speak to our love of grace and fluidity, of movement captured in static form. There's something inherently feminine and elegant about ribbon-like curves, something that transforms even the most practical garden border into an expression of artistic sensibility. Shape long, flat bags that undulate gently up and down, creating smooth flowing lines that guide the eye through your garden space, like a gentle river of possibility. The ribbon effect should feel continuous and seamless, rising and falling in natural waves that create visual rhythm and dynamic interest. The key is achieving that perfect balance between structure and flow. Too rigid, and the ribbon loses its grace. Too loose, and it loses its defined character. Work to create gentle undulations that feel like fabric caught in a gentle breeze, frozen at the moment of perfect movement. This design creates natural planting opportunities along its length. The higher points become perfect showcases for specimen plants that deserve special attention, while the lower valleys create intimate spaces for ground-covering plants that appreciate some shelter. The ribbon's flowing line unifies diverse plantings into a cohesive composition. The ribbon effect works beautifully in both formal and informal settings. In formal gardens, it adds organic softness to structured plantings. In cottage gardens, it provides elegant definition that elevates the overall aesthetic without overwhelming the natural abundance. It's sophistication with a gentle touch. The 14th technique creates the meditative beauty of stacked stone cairns positioned thoughtfully throughout your garden.
These vertical elements add height variation and spiritual significance to your garden design, transforming functional borders into places of contemplation and wonder. Cairns represent one of humanity's oldest forms of artistic expression, simple stacks of stones that mark important places, guide travelers, and create focal points for meditation. Our garden version brings that same sense of ancient wisdom and spiritual significance to contemporary landscapes. Stack bags of decreasing size to create the ancient art of stone balancing, working from larger bases to smaller tops, like natural rock formations shaped by patient hands over countless seasons. Each cairn becomes a vertical sculpture, a garden exclamation point that draws the eye upward and invites contemplation. The beauty lies in both the individual forms and their relationship to each other and the surrounding plants. Some cairns can stand tall and proud, like sentinels marking important garden moments. Others can be shorter and more intimate, creating quiet focal points for peaceful reflection. Each cairn becomes a place for contemplation, a reminder of the balance we seek in our gardens and our lives. They serve as visual anchors that ground the garden composition, while adding spiritual depth that transforms utilitarian borders into meaningful landscape experiences. The stacked forms create fascinating shadow play throughout the day, with each level casting different patterns as the sun moves across the sky. Plants respond beautifully to these vertical elements, with some seeming to reach toward the cairns, while others create protective circles around their bases. Our final design creates flowing infinity symbols that speak to the endless cycle of growth, death, and renewal that makes gardens so spiritually nourishing. These mathematical symbols become poetic expressions of the eternal nature of gardening and our ongoing relationship with the earth. The infinity symbol holds profound meaning in garden spaces, representing the endless cycles that govern all life, the continuous flow of seasons, the eternal relationship between gardener and earth. Creating these forms in our landscape becomes a meditation on permanence and change, on the patterns that connect all living things. Shape your bags into flowing figure-8 patterns, creating the mathematical symbol for infinity, with gentle organic curves that feel natural rather than rigid. The key is achieving smooth transitions at the crossing points, where the loops meet and separate in endless flow. Work slowly and mindfully, letting the profound symbolism of the form guide your hands. These loops represent the eternal nature of gardening, the ongoing relationship between gardener and earth, the endless possibility for beauty and growth that exists in every garden space. They remind us that every ending in the garden is also a beginning. Every dormant season leads to new growth. Every fallen leaf becomes food for future blooms. Position these infinity loops as focal points in your garden, places where the eye can rest and the mind can contemplate the deeper meanings of cultivation and care. They work beautifully as borders for meditation gardens, memorial plantings, or any space where you want to emphasize the spiritual dimensions of gardening. The symbolic power of these forms transforms practical edging into spiritual expression, reminding us daily that our gardens are not just collections of plants, but expressions of our hope for continuity, our faith in renewal, and our participation in the endless cycles that sustain all life. We've journeyed through 15 different ways to see beauty in the overlooked, to find poetry in the practical. Your garden isn't just growing plants, it's growing dreams. Each edge you create is an investment in beauty that will return joy for years to come. If this journey through possibility touched your heart, I'd love to hear about your garden dreams in the comments below. And if you'd like to join our growing family at Golden Seniors Living, that subscribe button is your invitation to more slow beauty and soulful creativity. Until we meet again in the garden, may your days be filled with growing things and quiet magic.